First item on the agenda is roll call. Kelly Davis.
I'm here.
Angie Wilson.
Here.
Brian Chapman.
Present.
Scott Long. Kim Reed, I'm here. All right. We'll ask if there's any agenda amendments. If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, third item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the February 18th Water Advisory meeting. And if everybody's had a chance to review those, are there any comments, corrections? Not being any, I will ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the February 18th meeting.
I'll do that.
Okay, I have a motion, I need a second. You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This time, if we've got any citizens present that would like any input, the floor is open. Not being any. We'll go to the financial statements.
And they were not in the packet, I'm assuming.
They're not in packet. Okay. We will just email them like you did before.
I will email.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah, good. I remember my first.
We're
day on
making
the job.
progress.
All righty, we'll go ahead and move to the director's report.
Fellow man, Trev, or Jay, you were pretty excited today. You go for it.
You sure?
Yeah, go for it.
Smaller amount of people.
Positive delivery.
We got what's going on. First, thank you for letting me come up here.
Of course.
And guys, thank you for your time today. I just wanted to go over, hopefully a little bit more time than last time.
Yeah, good.
my stuff. Okay. So far this year, we've had completed 357 locates. Now, this is slightly old information. There've been a few more coming, but don't worry about that right now. We completed jetting gravity sewer for a grand total footage of 2,400 feet. And we managed to cam approximately 2,000 feet of that sewer. There's a little bit of a deficit there, but it's mostly because of the manhole distance. Next, I'd like to take a look over at I&I repairs. So far, as of when I wrote this, we managed to replace one sewer cap. We sealed cracks in 3 manholes and raised 4 others. So this is just me spitballing the next part of that. But I expect to reduce I&I by at least 100,000 gallons. So I won't know if that's right or not until the bills come in. But I'm hopeful. We do have another big project scheduled. Right now our project is raising manholes. Trying to find that I&I source. And manholes are a big issue for it. I mean, roots, all of that. Anyway, come our second quarter, possibly third, I forget, the July-August timeframe, we hope to start doing some smoke testing. Now we know all the hoops we need to jump through with that. We want to make the residents aware, reach out to the fire department, make everybody aware that there's no big problem there. Would like to take but a brief moment to talk about the city lagoons. Total of 8 uprights. This is actually the best year for uprights in the lagoons. Only have replaced 8 of them. Now this will all due to cows, unfortunately. Next thing I wanted to talk about, I'm super stoked. Fog inspections, fat, oil, and grease from our restaurants and various other establishments around town. We've got those finished, and we are ready for our turn-in August for last year, this year time frame. It's a little weird how they want it, but well, we've got our turn-in. We are ready. Let's see. Okay. So a couple of other things that the sewer department did. We did assist streets department with dirt work on Jackson as well as on Jed Street after an I&I repair. That was back on the 21st of January. We also helped fill some potholes over there on Farm Road 105 as well as Farm Road 84. Now, something that did absorb a lot of our time. Well, and I ain't saying nothing negative, but a lot of our time was spent down at the B Basin. Clearing check valve just keeps getting clogged. So we're trying to take steps to fix that, but it's just going to keep getting clogged. It's just the nature of the beast. We've got a retirement home right next to it. nature of the beast. So I did end up having to pull one of my D-lift station pumps. It wasn't a big deal, it just had some debris wrapped around the impeller. We were able to get it out, and the pump was completely fine, zero problems. We put her back in and she was running real good. That got pulled on the 17th of February and reinstalled on the 18th.
Are these submersible, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir, forgive me.
What about screening? How did,
So we do have, I've got somewhat of a screen. It's basically rebar that's drilled into the manhole so that it can help catch something. Now it does work. Shockingly enough,
Yeah.
it works really, really well. We just have to, get down in there and kind of shovel her out.
You want to give it a little bit of the backstory?
Oh, I apologize.
That's
More
okay.
backstory?
Yeah, give it a little backstory.
Okay, so when I first started, the retirement home was shut down. They didn't have the people or the staff or the need. So we had zero problems for like 2 years-ish. And then they opened back up, and I have found everything. Hypodermic needles to dust mops to bags, a bed sheet, parts of the bed sheet through the impeller. And that clogged it up last time, so I had to pull the same pump. So the issue that we run into right down there, and I'll try to keep it short, so I have 2 pumps, they're both submersibles, but they're at different levels in the wet well. So this one on this side over here, which is higher than the other one, it hardly ever clogs. It has, but hardly ever does it clog. This one over here, it's further down in the wet well, and it's right at the inlet, coming off that side, clogs like that. We've been fortunate, however. I haven't had to send the guys out there to go and clear a clog in about 2 weeks. But I believe that this is due to what's going down and cleaning those bars. Nothing, there's always going to be something
And
like
that's
that.
why we install these bars or
Yes,
rebar
sir.
in the pipeline, just to try to pre-catch.
Yeah, just
Full
as
man
kind of
spot
like-
screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's a little bit of the backstory for what we're dealing with down there. You want me to go anymore?
I think it's good enough, just gives them the context so they can understand what's going on.
I'm digging it. Okay. Oh, yeah, also in February, another great thing, we assisted Willard Schools with rerouting a water line. So that was actually pretty cool. And of course the sampling there afterwards as required by DNR. And what we're doing right now is basically every day I've got a guy that works on inputting in what we call Dynamaps. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. But we have a set.
yeah, Trevor gave us access to.
Okay, so, good news. On Dynamaps, there is I don't know if you have access, but there's a sub-tab for I&I repairs. So, if you look on it, you're gonna see a whole bunch of red dots. Now, that's everywhere that we found from basically previous companies like Business Sewer, Trek coming in. Because I had a lot of information, I surely did. We had that from them coming in to basically camera lines and stuff like that. But the downside is nothing was ever done with it. So we're picking it up. The information's still good. It's not going to get better. It will probably get worse. But we have most of that loaded on there. We still have quite a bit of information to get through. So there will be more to come. But the other part of it is, as we complete our I&I repairs, it turns those red dots green. So you're going to start seeing more and more green dots going. We have done, the last meeting we had like 8 manholes raised. It's not been that long since the last one, but we are up to about 10 manholes. We did the 10th one today. Now I got a long list of them that needs to be done. So we do have work, and we definitely know where to start. Right now though, in this year, we're focusing mostly in the B lift station area. I believe there's a B lift station project on the horizon. So I'm trying to get that buttoned up. Yes, fingers crossed. So I'm trying to get that buttoned up and get that I&I under control there. Because we do have, in fact, 2 lift stations, technically 3 over in that area. One of them doesn't really do a whole lot. The other one, it does more. But that would be our Whispering Oaks lift station. Super cool place. Oh, yeah. So I did end up having to take a little bit of time away from I&I. I got a flat on my backhoe, so I needed to go and get that fixed. We did, on a different note, we found 2 manholes. We're actually up to about 3 of them so far that have severe H2S damage. all around in the bottom of it where it settles out, which I don't know why it settles out there, but it's starting to eat away at the concrete itself. So it's a, yes ma'am?
What's H2S?
Forgive me, hydrogen sulfide.
Okay.
It's a sewer gas that forms, unfortunately, naturally, but it's very caustic.
Oh, yeah, it'll eat up concrete.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. And we have, like I said, we found 3 of them so far. We're in the debate as to do we cut them out of the line and just replace them? Do we have them lined? Looking into our various options for the repair of such things. That was basically it. Thank you for your time. Did I answer your question?
Appreciate it.
No?
All right, awesome. Thank you so much.
JR makes sewer stuff sound so exciting. Good job, JR, seriously.
All right, we were ready to move on.
That's it.
All right, Mr. O'Brien.
You want me to get you that stand you did over there? That's daily work or?
Yeah, we're gonna make kind of a two or three part little presentation tonight. I'm not sure exactly where we're going and all that, but it's my understanding from discussion with Kelly that you all have some concerns about your water and your sewer systems, and rightfully so. And he's given me, and came over and met with your public works people back in, I think it was January, to get some more general information. We didn't get down in the weeds, but it sounds like on the water system, you probably have some issues. You're probably bumping up and needing some more storage. You probably need some more wells. Didn't get the exact numbers on how many you're pumping a day. I know you got 4 wells, you got 3 tanks, and I know you serve a whole bunch of water users because you serve all of Tom Smith's old area. And I believe Kelly said or the guys here, the public works people said I think it's around 3,400 water users. I think it's right. And about 2,700 sewer. They told us you've got some older water lines in town that are leaking, which is to be expected. Lost and unaccounted for, I think they said was running about 25%, which for a system-year-old is not that bad. But I know it's probably gonna get worse because you got some old 2-inch junk in the system. You got old galvanized, probably some old lower grade PVC pipe, glue joint. I understand that Mr. Smith's subdivision was all put in with AC or transite pipe, and we all know that eventually starts to fail. And I know discussing with them though, that at least on that, usually you can put a clamp on it and it's not as bad as it might be. And when you get into replacing water lines to bring down your lost and unaccounted for, there is a point of diminishing returns. You replace all your water lines at a lot of money, you're probably still not going to bring that back down much below 10 or 15%. So I don't perceive that may be an initial major concern of yours on the water system. It is something we need to think about. I think the storage and the supply are big issues. I understand on the sewer system, you have 2 projects that are going now to improve the situation between Willard and Springfield. I understand you had you're replacing the original large transmission line with a new line. Where are you at on that now? Is that underway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who is your contractor on that? I never thought to ask you that.
The HDP one is,
Yeah.
Young's Construction.
Not familiar.
They're out of Poplar Bluff. JD Wallace is doing the other one.
Okay. Now, who was your project engineer on both of those?
Al Guyer Martin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know who they are. They're good folk. I understand that you've got a lot of collection lines and you've got quite a few lift stations. I don't think those are a major issue to you right now as far as the lift stations, except you got a lot of I&I. And they explained to me, and Kelly did, I think too, you passed some more, I think you found out people are hooking their gutter systems and their sump pumps straight into their sewer lateral line, and I understand you all passed an ordinance that said you can't do that. And they said, yeah, come and make me stop. Is that basically true, kinda?
I don't know, that,
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily refusal, it's more locating them.
Okay, and then of course the cost issue is who pays for it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I know, Springfield's gone through the same issue. You didn't have that much I&I on your actual mainline system, did you?
Well, I think it's hard to figure out where it's coming from, but I think we figured out it's in the B basin, there's a lot of old stuff up there, and I think you guys did some smoke testing, and we found some gutters hooked up there.
So,
But I think, historically, when I arrived at the city, they were trying to create an ordinance to get some teeth into going and finding that stuff, but it was not appreciated at the time.
yes, and I understand that issue. I thought before we got down any more into the weeds on any of that, I would let Jeff and or Robin make a presentation more about who OWN is, what we do, and yes, we were originally Anderson Engineering Company, and we work out of the Monette office of the organization, and our specialty is basically small system, water systems, and to a lesser degree sewer. We also have folks in other offices in Springfield and whatnot that we also do sewer, and we all do, so we do this type of work. Then I think I would want to maybe let Jeff and Robin talk a little bit about financing and how you go about pursuing a project if you decide you want to do one. And I believe you do already have a financial advisor who you've used for some things. Who is that?
We've been using Piper Sandler.
And they know all about bonding procedures and all that, because bottom line is both of the major government funding projects, whether it's DNR or whether it's USDA, and they'll talk more about this in a bit, before you get to the threshold of being able to normally get grants, and let me back up. I understand you got grants on these 2 sewer projects. Is that correct?
We got a US EPA grant.
Like what?
US EPA grant for the 94 line, but the Meadows one we're paying in full.
Okay, so, and did you cover that out of your current revenues, so you didn't have to vote a bond or borrow money on that?
Well, we're borrowing, we're doing
But it's-
COP.
It's private, certificates of participation? Yeah, okay. So you did not have to take it to the voters for a bond issue. And certainly that is always a financing option on anything. The problem with getting normal grants, unless it's through some type of typically special sewer grants, which I think you got, they have a thing called the 2% rule, where your 2% of your median household income is expected to be directed to your water and sewer bills each. And I think I've been told that your median income, now that we didn't do a big research because we're not there, we don't want to get down in the weeds too much, but I think your median household on the latest census in Willard is about $70-some thousand a year.
It's
Well,
actually
you
gone up
do-
a little bit since.
Pardon?
It's actually gone up a little bit since this.
Probably has. Well, if you do 2% of that, that's $6,000 a month.
Yeah.
You take 2% of that,
Our affordability index is a 0.44 on water, and I think it's.
well, you know all about this stuff.
I know.
And now with your sewer rates being as high as they are, I think you all told me their average bill is about $110, or is that still?
All in, yeah, water and sewer combined.
Pardon?
Water and sewer combined, that'd be about that.
What is the sewer portion of that?
It depends on usage.
Okay,
I have some.
well,
table
about
records,
what, more to the point,
yeah. Maybe 60-40.
okay.
$100 bill.
But you have to look at that as an individual on each one, the water and the sewer, and I think your water bills, they were telling me, were probably still only average $30 to $40 a month.
Yeah, it's, well under the state affordability index.
In
So
any
our
event, you
customers
know
don't
that the odds of you getting grant or loan forgiveness from either DNR or USDA is pretty minimal. And in fact, as many users as you have, to spread it out over, you'd probably have to be looking at borrowing, these are just round numbers, 30, 40 million dollars before you'd ever get to a grant plateau. Unless there's some special program that comes along.
Yeah, nothing so far.
Okay.
I've looked.
You know what's going on.
I know what's going on.
Because I know some of these communities think, well, we can get a grant to take care of all of our problems. Well, and of course, the ARPA program, you know, did you get any money from that? For what? I'm curious.
Well, I have to go back and look at that one. We've put up, originally the plan was to earmark a chunk of it for the 94 line.
Right,
But then they changed all the rules, so we had to
Okay.
go back and reallocate spending on other
Okay.
projects.
okay.
Even though the money was still sitting there for the 94 project, it didn't,
Well,
because that's ARPA money.
I honestly can't quote you the statistics on the clients that we had on the sewer side, because that was mostly done out of the Springfield office. But we had, what was it, 10 or 11 or 12 water people that put in for ARPA grants, and not a one of them got a penny, because they weren't high enough in the priority points. And on the water side, I think they had like 280 or so applicants, and 40 roughly got money. Rather than spreading it out individually, proportionate, it was whoever has the most points, they get their project grant funded, and down you go. And they got down to about 40 out of 280, and nobody else got a penny. We had one water system that got some money, and it was handled out of the Springfield office, and it was the little bitty city of Flemington, Missouri, north of Bolivar. And they were rewarded for their own incompetence, because they had and they really were.
All of it.
They,
Anybody that got ARPA dollars was basically,
they had an older horizontal pressure tank in the system. They didn't have a standby. It was a very small system, 40, 50 users. It was put in actually by the company that Jeff and these people worked for back in the 80s. They had done no maintenance. The main connection where it comes out of the tank down into the system was literally corroded to the point that they thought it was going to blow out, and then they'd have no water. So they got extra points because it was an imminent catastrophe, because they hadn't done it. Yeah, that's the single thing. Okay, let me now defer to Robin and Jeff, and they'll take it over from here for a while, and then we'll decide where we go from there.
Thanks, Pat.
not sure there's much left to say after Pat. We just wanted to introduce ourselves. So my name is Jeff Sepperly. This is my wife, Robin. Pat and Robin and I, we've been working together for 24 years now.
This year.
Robin and I started with a predecessor company that that retired, and then they went, and that was Simmons Engineering over in Republic. It was founded by Claude Simmons way back in the 60s. His son Andy took it over in the early 80s. And again, it was a niche company. They mainly did small water and small sewer systems. And I went to high school with Andy. We graduated at the same time, and then we split company for 20, 30, 40 years. He went on to, went into engineering on a manufacturing basis, but then eventually when his dad got older, they decided it was time for Andy to come back and take it over. Andy kept the same business model that Claude did, though, very, very small operation, working with small communities, but being very adept in being able to get grants and loans. If nobody else could get a grant, Andy Simmons could. Of course, this was back in the days before the rules were quite as bad, too. In fact, when I started with Simmons in 2002, the rule, rather than 2%, was 1%. And it was much easier to get grants. Nonetheless, Andy did that. I went to work and of course, you all know, I think, I retired from CU at the end of 1999, full-time employee. Kind of didn't do much for a year or two, but then hooked up with Andy and became a part-time engineer for him. And then eventually when Andy retired and closed the business about 2018, Jeff and Robin had already gone on down to Anderson at the time because they still had quite a few years to worry about their careers and things. And I was older, but I still decided I wasn't really ready to hang it up, so I, of course, kept in contact with Jeff, and we worked out a deal, I think, in late 2018, where I basically just transferred and went down to work with him, but in the same fashion. I'm a part-time engineer. Of course, with the modern computers, I can do virtually 90% of my, I do most of the conceptual design, report writing, things of that nature. Anything that has to be done with government financing, you'll have to end up having a preliminary engineering report done. I've written more of those than I can count since 2002. See, we didn't have to mess with that at CU because we did all our own financing. And if you do all your own financing, some of that can be short-circuited, certainly. In any event, then, Jeff and the other people, while I assist in the detailed design, I don't draw up the plans, I don't do this. We have a staff of designers, and Jeff and I kind of oversee that. I am typically, however, the ceiling engineer on the project that goes out because I still have maintained my Missouri professional engineer's license. I'm also now licensed, believe it or not, in Oklahoma, because we have expanded over into northeastern Oklahoma with some communities. And we also are doing quite a bit of job and business. We have an office in Arkansas, but we have other people who are sealing those plans, so I don't get involved in those much. But that's what we do. And anyway, I've been around them all with them. So go ahead, get off in a rabbit hole. We've been working together since 2002.
So as Pat said earlier, like I say, we do mostly water in our office, but we're a full civil engineering firm. Again, my name's Jeff, this is Robin. I'm a group leader in our company, and Robin is a lead project coordinator. And like I say, we've been working together for 24 years now. We're together 24/7, so generally you get one of us, you get both of us. We make one good employee. Just a little bit about our company. We are the second oldest engineering firm in Missouri. We started out as a concrete company down in Branson, actually, years ago, and we've had 4 or 5 name changes since then. Anderson was the last one we had for about 40 years. Bruce Anderson was our CEO at the time, and you know, it's kind of like architectural firms, whoever owns it, that's kind of the name. In recent years, in 2023, we rebranded. We didn't think the name fit our culture anymore, and the engineer was long gone since then. And so we rebranded the company. Our company is 100% ESOP employee owned, and so we thought something had to be better than Anderson. And also, as we were expanding into other markets and other states, we were hitting roadblocks because whoever had Anderson for a name was there first, right? So we wanted something unique, and so we ended up changing our name and our culture, and OWN was the name we came up with, and it figured, well, we're owners, it makes sense. So that's how we made the transition. We didn't downsize, we didn't consolidate. It's the same company, same principles. We just had a name change to better fit our culture. As I said, we're one of the few engineering firms that does pretty much all the civil principles, right? We do land survey, we do civil design, we do streets, bridges, traffic, and we do studies, we do all the main things engineering, civil engineers do, but we don't do structural. We've had structural offices in the past, but we've kind of reduced that down. The market just didn't allow for us to make money at that, so we just had to cut it out. We have 9 offices, mostly in this area. We've got Joplin, we've got Springfield's our main headquarters. We're, like I say, in Monette. Carthage, we've got Columbia, Overland Park, Kansas. We've got an office in Rogers. So we're in the area. We've been here a long time. We know the communities, and we can, you know, pretty much do the things that you need done.
The nice thing is we're a big company, but we're still kind of considered smallish. And the way we operate is, so if you were to work with us, most likely Jeff and I would be your points of contact. And we use Pat and his ginormous brain that cannot be replicated because he's brilliant in all ways. And, but when you work with us, even though we specialize in water and funding, you get the entire company. So if survey or field services or testing or street designs and, you know, any of that is needed, the entire company is your team. You just deal with us as we coordinate it for you. So that way you're not dealing with lots of people handling lots of different things. You know the relationship. We very much focus on relationships. We think that's the difference maker on any good project. It's the relationship. It's knowing you can call us if you were in the middle of a board meeting and we were not at that meeting, you could pick up the phone and call us at any time. We're probably not the smartest, but we answer our phone at all times. If we don't, it's because we are tied up with something else, but we will call immediately after. So we just really try to be hands-on, personal, and think of it as if it were us sitting in your chairs, what would we want? We would want somebody to handle all the details, come and explain it, but in the meanwhile, walk it through and just be hands-on with it. So
We have about 195 employees, plus or minus, and 35 engineers. And what we try to do, we've kind of reorganized our company just recently. And, you know, we kind of used to be office-based, right? You know, like I said, we were kind of the water office, and Springfield did sewer, and so, you know, Carthage did traffic. But we've kind of created divisions. We had divisions were there, but we were all individual offices. We've created a division now where we're one unit. So infrastructure is one unit, surveys one unit, land development's one unit. So we can draw from any of those people at any time. It's going to be the best fit for the projects that you guys need. So rather than somebody trying to learn something as they go with, you know, say, hey, we're your engineers and we're working out of our office. You know, depending on what the project is, we find out who has the expertise in, you know, in that area and say, hey, we're working on a project. We want to pull you in and have you, you know, they may come to council meetings, come meet with the public works guys. That's something I recommend, and I'm sure you guys do anyway, but, you know, as you work with engineers, a lot of times engineers don't talk to these guys. You need to talk to these guys. If you guys are gonna get a good project, you need to find out what the issues are going on with these guys, find out what's working, what's not working, and figure out as a team how to fix that, right? A lot of times engineers go down the road, no offense, Pat, but, you know, like I say, we have a giant brain, or they have a giant brain, and they get fixated on a solution. And my philosophy is you can give a project to 10 engineers, and you're going to get 10 designs, and hopefully they all work. Mostly they, you know, probably will, but of those 10 designs, one of them's going to be the most cost-effective and most efficient, right? And so that's kind of the scenario that we like to provide, right? Try and find the best scenario, the most cost-efficient project, and you know, do what you need to help you.
And Jeff said no offense to Pat, because Jeff and I are not engineers. We've just been doing things for a really long time. So I specialize in help, you know, with the funding and the paperwork and trying to guide and keep things moving. Jeff is the mechanical design guru, so he knows it, but he's the one that's out in the field and doing, and you know, like he said, we do pretty well. We're pretty good bookends. So I'm the admin side, and he's the technical, and then we have the company of engineers for the professional side of it. So,
and like I said, we specialize in funding. That, you know, when we were at Simmons Engineering, like I said, I was with Simmons for 27 years, and that's all we did was funding. We did small municipalities, but that was USDA 100%. We didn't hardly even use DNR at the time, but depending on what the program is, it depends, you know, who's got the funds for grants, if that's possible. You know, we work with all the agencies to find out, you know, if you qualify. Sometimes you don't qualify for one, but you do on another. And we're kind of finding that out with DNR. DNR's kind of been changing their policies in recent years, and USDA has been kind of stagnant on a lot of stuff, but changes coming in that, that department, and those I think are all gonna be good coming down in the future. But that's something, you know, we specialize in, and you know, if there's a grant, you know, for water or sewer, transportation, we don't deal too much with that, but our other offices do a little bit. You know, that's where we can help, so. I don't wanna,
Obviously, you know a lot about the grant side of things, the loan
Yeah, I've
and process.
Done some digging in 2 different states,
Yes.
it's all about the same.
It
No
really
money
is.
and lots of need.
It really is. It's great that you have a financial advisor, not all communities do. That's huge, that you have somebody that's helping you on that journey as you guys figure things out. Like Pat said, just doing quick call-in with USDA. Cody Green is who I spoke with. He's the area specialist, and he said at one time when he looked into Willard, it was about a $7 million loan that would have to be absorbed before grants kicked in, but I think it's now higher, and that's based on using a median household income that USDA is using, a 74,800 something, and Wes, as you said, it's probably up.
it's on a
So-
page for now.
Yeah. So that means the city can absorb a lot of debt before they feel that you can hit the grant, so.
But you can still get low interest loans from both agencies. You know, they both offer that, especially you guys, you know, you're under the cap of 10,000, so they are definitely below market value on loans and that kind of stuff, so those are definitely roads that you can travel down also.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's from the USDA, and was there another?
DNR,
Missouri
DNR
DNR.
SRF program, the state revolving
DNR
fund.
is usually the gatekeeper.
Yeah, actually, it's the state revolving fund, DNR. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Jeff, Robin. SRF actually gets their money from federal funds, EPA. And then it gets divvied down to the state level. And in the DNR process, or SFR, you have to apply. First of all, you have to have a preliminary engineering report done if you want to go that way. Then you have to apply, and you apply throughout the whole year. It's not quite as quick a process. They publish finally, typically in July, the intended use plan for
The draft plan.
which shows all the applicants and who's gonna get funded on a preliminary basis. Then they usually firm that up in October of the year. And again, their procedures, you gotta typically do them a little more in advance, and there's quite a bit more paperwork, but they typically, used to be, they would only write a 20-year loan. They have gone up now for long-term capital projects to a 30-year loan. And like I said, the interest rates, they vary because they track so much percentage of the market rate, and I don't even know what the market rate is right now. I don't know what SRF is charging. But basically, and then of course, like I said, for the loan portion, if you go with SRF, it does have to be then backed up by a bond of at least the amount of what the loan's gonna be on the project. And USDA, they get their money on a national-wide basis that is then divvied out to the states. And then you apply through your local region to the state office, and then used to be, they had more power to make own decisions within it. Now it's become more centralized. Anything you apply with the USDA, technically before it can be approved, which has to be approved by the state office first, then it has to go to the Fed, and it gets, but they will write up to a 35-year loan if you want to go that far. All of these loans are no prepayment penalty. pay them off early, or you can drop your rates down. Both of the groups will basically, once you go to them though, you become subject to their audits and their financial analysis. And if they think you're getting to the point of needing, being perhaps in danger of default, they will come in and tell you, you're gonna have to raise your rates some more. And but they're similar. Right now, we tend to think, and we've gone through cycles with this with the company, that right now, all else being equal, if you want to go with one of these programs, we would probably say, perhaps you might want to consider USDA, but that's not written on a rock. A lot of it has to do with the state of flux of the programs, and there seems to be a little more paperwork right now, and a little more stuff that has to be done on the SRF application. Am I speaking right here?
Yeah, and USDA actually is a bit quicker. So with DNR, the SRF program, whether it's water or sewer, the applications have to be in by March 1st, and that includes all of your financials and then your full engineering report. With USDA, that stays open, and there's times that's better to hit than certain times that, you know, we would have guidelines of like trying to get more information in because it's getting ready to be the end of the fiscal year and they're trying to fund a lot of things really quick. That's a great time to get something in.
But basically, if you apply and you get your application's order and they deem it's worthy of it, if they have money in their annual budget right there, you will get what they call a letter of conditions right quickly, which says, we will write your project. You know, there's no set date. Another thing, now I don't know what the SRF does, quite frankly, maybe you know. USDA still has the provision, they operate on the federal fiscal year, October 1, state operates on the July fiscal year. But long about typically in August of the year, USDA goes through a process where if certain states have not committed the funds, they have what's called a pooling process, and it goes up to the nation, and then if you hadn't been funded yet, you might still get funded that year, because they reallocate any excess money. They don't want to not spend their budget year.
Okay, so don't want to go down a rabbit hole too far here, so you guys have any questions or anything we can answer for you that?
Well, I kind of want to fill you all in. I don't know how we got here with you guys here tonight. Our committee was formed, last July, I guess? And that's kind of, and step in if I say something wrong or whatever. I mean, I've lived in the Willard area for 20 years and been a Willard water customer. I worked 28 years at the city utilities, retired mechanical engineer in the water treatment department. So I've got background in that, but as Pat, Kelly, and Angie can attest to, at city utilities, for years, we did projects, just money came in, we did projects, money went out. And then in Willard, last few years, rate increase after rate increase, angry customers. That's one reason why this committee was formed. And then what really blew me away was about 2 years ago, I'm reading news articles that city utilities is getting grants for water projects. And I'm like going nuts. And Pat, I don't know if you're aware of that, but you remember the 48-inch 11-mile pipeline to parallel to 36?
Yes.
They got $4 million grant money.
How did they manage that?
I've asked them and they said, you gotta get a good grant writer. And then they got a grant to put some redundant electric at Blackman. I'm not sure where CU is getting grant money, and I said, I'm telling Wes and these guys, why can't we get grant money? I mean, CU's got a $400 million budget or whatever it is. It might be, I don't know what it is now, but.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. So, I mean.
Around about 2024, the MHI factor became very much more focused, along with LMI communities and disadvantaged communities. So unfortunately, while, let me preface this, I'm sure a lot of people in Willard don't feel this way, that the way it's looked at from a calculus is well, it's a well-to-do community, they can take care
Right.
of themselves.
Right, but that's, I mean, are those the only grants you could get that, in the entire United States, that look at median income? Are there any, that's where I'm coming from, and then you can educate them. Willard hired a lobbyist 6-8 months ago, and I don't know if
And
we're
this-
getting anything out
The
of that.
state is just, no, we're not budging yet, so I don't know if that's gonna be as successful as we hoped, and we may have to entertain that. As an early end, we talked about May being a date for deciding if we were gonna stay or go.
So sometimes on these grants, like what you're talking about, it could come down to some type of a need that is, you know, unusual or potential issue, right? Like the ARPA dollars and stuff, the reason you didn't get any and most of the communities didn't get any that we dealt with were the communities were doing what they were supposed to do, they were keeping up with their requirements, they didn't have violations. The people, like I say, that benefited from ARPA dollars were people like Pat said, Flemington, that did nothing. But it's a problem for DNR because they're not in compliance.
Yeah.
So then it's like, oh, take the money and fix this problem, and then the people that were doing the things that they should be doing got nothing. And so sometimes super grants like that come along, and there may be some, you know, over area looking, you know, deal that's gonna, you know, like Branson got a lot of grants back in the day as they were expanding because of the possible influx of money, you know, that was gonna be, you know, so they got all kinds of grants that normally for street transportation and stuff, you don't get grants for that kind of stuff. Stormwater, there are some CDBG things that are minor, things like that, but for most communities, like you said, if you're kind of above the median household incomes, like, yeah, you should be able to pay your way, and that's not fair.
Right.
And-
I know these two on CU, the two grants I'm aware of, it was all predicated on redundancy. Is a redundant
Yeah,
pipeline.
I see that.
So I don't know
But,
what,
and,
I mean, we could probably come up with some projects, ask Trevor and the guys, we need redundancy here, we need it here, we don't have it.
I think where we're probably at, and it's kind of the stand pat mindset, that we're gonna just have to wait for the right opportunity to present itself and just go for it. We've tried to seek the
where
opportunity.
these CU grants.
We're looking at the
through-
grants, but we're kind of stuck until we have a project. Like, for example, if we get some money for Beta 94, we maybe could get $1 million grant for I&I, but
Yeah.
we're gonna have to spend $1 million to
Sure.
do it. So it's kind of, it doesn't help us get Beta 94 done, although it might help us get some I&I done when we do it. I think, as hard as it is, you know, they always talk about the wheels of government turn slow, and we desperately want to speed them up, but I think this is one of those ones that we're going to find that we're a little hamstrung until we find the right opportunity to do it.
Hey, didn't Willard get ARPA for something?
We got, I forget the
Direct
exact term
allocation.
of it, but it was like revenue loss, ARPA money, a lot of cities got that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't for a specific project.
There was a grant for, and I know this isn't water and sewer, but there was a grant for Miller Road back in '21. The city got like $700,000 grant, I don't know.
I wondered if that was through OTO.
It might have been, yeah,
Because we got similar for doing Jackson, just after I got
maybe
here.
that was it.
Yeah.
But have you found any communities that have found a workaround on the census numbers? Like I heard Kimberly City did something.
So, it's interesting you say that because I'm not sure what happened with the last census, but the numbers are skewed, right? And so, used to be if your low to moderate income was just right close or just over the limit, you could do a survey, and you can still do a survey, but the chances were that you would probably get into that grant deal. Well, now most of the numbers are quite a bit over that, but some of the agencies are still recommending you do a survey, and it's not based on the whole community now, it's based on the project area. So if you have a low income project area within your community, where you're doing some sewer work or water work or something, and you're trying to get a grant on that, I think you can do a survey of that area that's being served that might help with that.
Is SimCog your regional planning committee? Okay, so they would be the ones for anything CDBG related and would be able to give great advice on that if you do have an area that you feel there are improvements that could be, and it would be a lower income and a survey would be possible, they would be great. They would be your CDBG administrator, they would do the grant writing. To go back to your comment, regarding like city utilities getting grants, those are not known by us. Now, something the city might want to invest in is hiring a specific grant writer. That is somebody whose their only job is to research funding. That is all for anything. They might come to you and say, hey, there's something for a cell tower. There's something for improving this, or so that is their entire job, and they look at such a broad spectrum. So to go beyond the normal infrastructure funding avenues, that would be my advice to you guys, is to look at that. And if you talk to either SIMCOG or you talk to Missouri Municipal League, they would be able to give you some guidance, or at least a list of some possible people that you might want to reach out to. They can't recommend, but they can give you a list for consideration. And we just want to make sure, if you want somebody who specializes in things. You want the person who, that is their job, that's all they do is research grants, then they're going to be able to find you all the little pieces. We specialize in the water and wastewater, and then we partner with CDBG, but on the water wastewater side of things. So that is our specialty. Those are the programs that we know. MoDOT, we have an office that is specifically retired MoDOT employees. They can get you funding for anything transportation-wise. They would be glad to talk with you. So you want the people that specialize in certain things to do those pieces. So that would be something I would highly recommend you entertain, because you're right, that is an unusual situation. And how I'm gonna say it was because in order for something to take place and that improvement, it had to be supplemented by grant. And so then it could be something to do with the state of Missouri that jumped in and through legislation got something unusual approved, or there could be circumstances like that.
Could be typical politics, who knows who, right?
Well, how,
Yeah.
like, there was just recently, 2 years ago, there was a little community, and I can't remember where it was, but they were way smaller in Willard. And they funded them up like $3 million for a water system. How in the world, if we can't sustain according to our level of incomes, or whatever you want to call it, how does a smaller community turn around and pull a $3 million deal?
So that smaller community probably had more fiscal need. So they were probably lower income.
So we have lots of fiscal need here, I know for a fact. And this water system it's holding up, and it's Band-Aids and whatever, and these boys are doing everything they can to piece it together.
So you guys have
There's gotta be a way to get this community some money in here, and because the sad thing is, we need this because this community is doing this. It's feeling the growth. People are scratching to come. We gotta scratch somewhere and dig up some money and bring it here to us, because that's all that's holding this back.
Yeah, I'm afraid the fact that you have as many users as you do is a blessing and a curse, because you
Right.
have more people to spread the rates
Spread the
across.
wealth, of course.
So that's one thing. You mentioned the 2024 something changed. One of the biggest changes is Missouri DNR reevaluated how they look at eligibility. And so right now we're working with a very, very small community of less than 300 users who, through USDA, do not qualify, because even though they're such a small community, their median household income is too high, and they look like they're much more flush with dollars than they truly are. But through DNR, their eligibility did look at them, and they did come in as moderate income. So DNR changed the way they evaluate, And when we get done, if you're looking and you're thinking more sewer or you're thinking more water, I will reach out to my water contact at DNR and my sewer contact at DNR and just see if you would be eligible. I'm gonna say, my gut is saying right now that they're gonna come back and they're gonna say that they can give you grant, but you would have to close that huge gap where they see that you could fund it yourself. So that's the difficult part. That's not the answer we wanna give anybody.
I might say the equivalent, I spoke with the deputy director over there.
Then absolutely no. Have you reached out to your representatives and your, okay, so that would be my next,
Yeah,
you've exhausted the things.
I've tried a lot of things.
You've
So-
tried.
He's been a busy boy.
He has,
tried a lot of
absolutely.
things.
I heard you guys
The only
mention,
thing I haven't done is put my hand out yet.
I heard you guys mention Diamond Max. Is your water system on Diamond Max too?
Yep.
So do you guys log all your breaks and you have records of all that? So this is great information. So if you have an area, especially an older section of town or something, and you guys are just constantly fixing stuff like that,
And actually, right there might be a good example, right there on the
Yeah,
far west.
yeah.
That's our galvanized that we've been dealing with on shut-off valves.
so, you know, it might be worth, you know, if you have a large area of this, right? Getting your Diamond Maps, getting your information together and presenting that to DNR, say, listen, right? We gotta replace this in the next 5 or 10 years or sooner, because we're fighting this all the time. Our user rates are what our user rates are, you know, we can't close that gap between 7 million or 2 million, whatever it is, right? Is there some kind of funding, is there something you can help us with, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it's from there, maybe it's to the state representative, say, hey, you know, we're a small community like everybody, we're in that zone of, we don't qualify now because we're this big, but we need the money because we're not this big, right? And, you know, there's some arguments to be made there. We haven't gone down that road, but most people don't have records,
Yeah.
right? So that's an avenue that, you know, you might want to consider anyway, especially if you have, just, I mean, if every 30 feet or 20 feet or, you know, you're out there, you show your weekly records or monthly records or yearly records, we're out there, you know, 20 weeks of the year fixing a water line leak, right? You
That's a
know,
good comment, but I would say where it's probably gonna be the most effective is to take that information, have an engineering report where that is all being documented, because any funding agency is gonna need that report regardless. But if with that type of information going to SIMCOG and doing the 500,000 per funding cycle, you can't have, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So you could apply for, it's a different type, it's a development type of grant. And it isn't loan, you pay the CDBG administrator through SIMCOG out of the grant. So it's, the money you get is 500,000 minus their total. And then you put it towards that improvement. Now, they look at, anytime at CDBG, they look at the low and moderate income, you guys are not gonna qualify for that. However, there's other things that they take into consideration. It's not strictly that when you go through an agency like them. And they are gonna be able to do some maneuvering and figure out and give the best guidance on that. And then once that construction is completed, you can apply the next cycle. So you could do 500,000 every year. So,
the community that I grew up in, they did a community block grant for streets, 2 blocks a year. I've been gone from there for a long time, but when I go back, I'm amazed over the 30 years, right? The whole community is now pretty much concrete, curb and gutter, storm water, right? So the water lines get replaced in those 2 blocks, and the streets get replaced, right? So little things like that, you know, it takes a long time, but
Well, and taking
It's
bites is
something.
fine. I don't think any of us in this room tonight that we wouldn't care to see these guys handed $500,000. They could go a long way.
oh, for sure.
These guys can
For
make that
sure.
work, and you could go from your worst part of town,
Yep.
get those little problems out of the way, and then we'll go to the next, to the next, to the next. And it's just, there's got to be a way to find these some money.
So-
I can't
And
believe
even
it.
if it's not a grant, you
Yeah,
know, the
any-
low interest loans,
Yeah,
The
go
loan,
out 30 years where no prepayment,
yeah.
no penalty for early.
yeah.
I
mean,
think right now in USDA, I'm gonna say DNR is probably about the same. I think the last meeting we were at last week, I think USDA quoted that they're at 4.25% for their loans for $35
Currently,
right now.
which,
Current.
that's high, really. I mean,
Yeah.
in recent years, it's been, 2%,
It's typically been
2.5%.
about 2%, but with this crazy thing that's going on with inflation and rates
Right.
going up and
Yeah.
down, it's a.
Market
and they
rate's about
readjust
7%.
The
Both of
nu-
them readjust their rates.
So
USDA
is, so
quarterly.
to get, like you were discussing, a small block thing, do these guys need to build a little project that needs to be, so they can figure out, and we apply for something like that?
So there's.
Really, your best bet is the engineering report that is bringing all of the information, and whether you're looking at a phased approach over a small project a year, one comprehensive project, your comprehensive project, you're gonna get your best bet, because you're gonna have a contractor come in, you're gonna wipe it all out, versus every year, you may get 500,000, but the costs are going up every year.
And
So-
those would be bid projects also. They wouldn't just give you 500,000 for your crews to go out and
Right.
bid, which would make sense,
Yeah.
but it's government.
You go a lot farther,
And
yeah.
you're
Well,
right,
and-
you're right.
And the sad thing is,
And for the language,
the growth gets suspended in communities such as Willard,
you're right.
because all we need is to fix some infrastructure.
Now-
It's not that, it can't, smart people, any of us in here can see it, why get these up big, and why are they tying it to so much of people's medium incomes?
Well, and,
Put
and
a pot of money out there and split it up.
the bad thing about the surveys is the people that respond to the surveys are the people who make the money.
Man.
Because the lower income people think it's the government trying to find out something about it. I can remember when I was young, when I got the survey, I said, no, they're damn business, that's
It's
never
hard.
right, right? And that's, unfortunately, that's the attitude. Do you understand that that's what is allowing you to have, grants or, right? And part of that's, it's education, but we don't do that,
Yeah.
right? So,
I see communities such as Willard and other little communities that are just, they struggle because there's got to be a way to fund these people. And if you want your economic growth, then you have to put your money where your economic growth's gonna go, because it's gonna circle back around to you.
Now, something you could consider, we don't do this, but we partner with, some consultants that would, but maybe a growth study to prove how Willard is being impacted as Springfield is more expanding this way and Republic's more expanding this way, and it may be worth looking at that. And then that's anything that you have that gives data, but if it comes to any type of funding, grant or loan, if it's going through any of these agencies, you've got to have an engineering report.
but they
You
do
have to have the studies.
grants for that, do they qualify?
They do. So DNR would have
For
and I
sure
think
they
it's
have it.
open anytime. So for water, is water your most crucial need? Sewer, okay.
Sewer's holding them back too.
Okay, so the sewer process is a bit longer as far as the amount of time it takes to do the report, because it's such a complicated study. However, the grants, I believe, are 80/20, 62.5. Yeah,
that's correct.
62,500 is the amount, so I believe that's 12.5 for the city. And it usually takes about 18 months. The period for the study is 18 months.
That's the period, it shouldn't take that long.
It shouldn't. You get the person in
Right.
and get them focused on it, but it needs the data, it needs
The
all of the.
sewer might not be as much more complicated. I'm assuming whether you like it or not, you are committed to staying with Springfield being your treatment agency.
For a while.
For a while.
Yeah.
It's much cheaper to send it there right now and,
Pardon?
it's much cheaper to send it there than operate a plant.
And you would be pulling teeth with DNR because they greatly favor,
Yeah.
okay. When they go into evaluating these projects, they award all these priority points one of the things that really rings their bell is this a regionalization project? And if you were to go to Springfield now and say, we want to withdraw from our regionalization project with Willard,
You just have to
that's
show how
gonna be
it's
a stretcher to get any grant
beneficial
money
to
for
the city.
that, I'll tell you right now. Of course, other things they give things for, and you get it was redundancy, you get extra points for that. However, in your research of the Springfield, did they get a complete grant or was they loaning a grant?
That I'm not sure.
You know, because them getting a 100% grant just absolutely, unless they knew some political people that pulled some strings, because at best, they should have got no more than a 50-50. And
I can check into that.
I'm curious.
Yeah, I'll find.
Yeah, I understand, they got extra priority points because of the concept, because you do get redundancy points and reliability and all that. And granted, as big as Springfield is, that they might have given that more weight. But how in the world they could have got 100% grant is totally beyond me.
I don't think it's 100%.
Yeah, I'd be shocked.
And there again, I would have thought they would, now I have no idea what the census numbers were on CU and how that played into everything. But usually you still have to hit you know, you have to hit that 2%. Look, back one thing, Kelly, I've been in this a long time now since I left CU. It was a huge deal when the agencies, when I first started doing this with Simmons, about the first 10 years, the rule was 1%. And most small communities, that wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
When they invoked 2%, in fact, I think there were even some people that talked to their state representatives and said, do you realize what you're doing to these communities when you raise this to 2%? You're effectively placing them out of economical. The people just can't pay that much. Now, and then of course now we've got the completely skyrocketing census numbers, and I do not know in the last 2 census. Did anybody here get a census form asking you to fill out your income data? No. It used to be you did, and it was voluntary, you didn't have to turn it back in, but we would encourage people, that's what they base it on, and you need to, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Quite frankly, Robin, Jeff, I don't know where they get these these income numbers from. Does it fall out of the sky?
I
And that
don't
was the
know,
point
but-
about maybe the surveys.
Yeah. I do know right now USDA is using a 5-year, it's the ACS, so it's the 2020 census has been fully adopted, but then they look at this 5-year study, like every 5 years. So what it is based on 2020 doesn't mean the 25 hasn't kicked in yet. They have not adopted that, but it could go up even more so based on.
So is it more feasible to try to go for smaller projects? Instead of taking on a big massive deal, or?
It depends what your need is. So if you know you're gonna have to replace a large area of something, rather than do a small thing, it's like doing a subdivision. You can do a 10 lot subdivision.
Right.
Or you can do a 100 lot subdivision. It's probably not gonna cost a whole lot more because you still gotta go through all the process.
Now,
Yeah.
let me put another fly in the ointment. SRF and I believe USDA both, when you apply to their projects for financing, whether it be grant or loan, they will not allow that money to be used by the city's force account labor. They don't allow it. You have to go the contracting route, because once you get the contract amount, that sets the actual amount of the grant and the loan you need. It's all estimate up to that point.
Right.
They have no confidence the cities will, I guess, all I know is force account labor normally is not subject to grants or loans from these people. Now, I have no idea what your certificates of participation are with your private financiers, whether they would be comfortable with giving a chunk of money, so many $100,000 a year to your own people. And I'm not debating you don't have good people, but where is the control?
Yeah.
That's their concern.
So Pat brings up a good point. So going back to SIMCOG and the CDBG, that community development grant, since you guys went and hit the LMI, there may be a percentage that is, it may be like 80-20 split. There may be something like that. However, I do believe with CDBG that they will take some things as in-kind match. So there would be something to really
Yeah,
look
I'll
into if it
check
is
SIMCOG.
I-
That's useful.
yeah, I just think since you don't meet the LMI, it's not gonna be 100%. So then it's figuring out like what part is city, what part would be grant. However, it's appears that it may be more than anything that's available right now.
And see, the other thing about the income, whoever you go to, if it's the government agency, they're gonna drag in, you're gonna have to look at the township income for everybody that's outside the city of Willard. It's great that you have customers outside the city in one sense because it gives you, is Tom Smith, are they in the city or not?
Meadows?
Meadows?
No.
No, they're outside the city.
Oh, so see, somehow they'll have to go through some township census records, and whether that will skew it up, down, or sideways, who knows, till you apply and get the results, or have a special survey done or something like that. If it's just a few minor, okay, you know, a lot of cities have it, you gotta be inside the city to get the water and the sewer. That's not a state requirement, obviously.
Right.
If it's just a small percentage of people, they probably wouldn't mess with it. But you got several hundred users out here, south of town on the water, and I assume on the sewer too. And they're gonna want to see that income data as well to come up with a blended average.
And another thing, Pat, and you would know this, so with that being the case, so you're dealing with city and county basically, right? Because it's, so then would a bond election have to be in the city and county?
You could only do that for in-city. We would have
I think the
jurisdiction
answer to
inside.
that is no.
Okay, so it would just be the users in the
It
city
only
would
be
be
people
the voters?
in the city.
Yes,
For that.
I believe
Okay.
that's correct.
Okay,
But the only fly, like I said,
that makes sense.
when you're looking at the grants and the loans, they will want to consider their, but you're right. The entity that is in charge will have the bond election. And in this case, it is the city, if you go that route.
So-
But when we talked about that, Wes, wasn't it, when we looked at the bond stuff a little bit, was that would only allow the voters in the city limits to vote for the bond? So all of us sitting outside the city limits, which I'm
That is
outside.
correct.
But you could be a good steward of why the improvements are needed. You're part of the going out and getting the messaging out.
Yes.
And-
It's kind of one of those things, I mean, this is why the water board was put in place in the first place, is so that people outside the system had a voice into the system.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I
See,
feel like,
like
if I see a
if you were
bond in the city and then being like, hey guys, you didn't get a vote, but your rates go up.
Well, and
Yeah,
that's what I
absolutely.
thought.
It's probably not
In the
gonna
fire district, see,
succeed.
when we vote, when we throw an election, it's for the whole fire district. It's the
Well,
whole
and I was
state,
getting
it's
ready to
for
say,
miles.
if you were being served by a public water supply district, like number 2 over here just west of you, then that's a whole different deal. They have their certificate area from the state. They would have to go in there and identify the township census data. But then when they have the election, it is for every, and it's for every resident in that district, whether they're a user or
Oh,
not.
I think that's, because they operate as a political subdivision.
Just like in the city, whether if you've got somebody that's not on your water system, I don't know what they're doing, getting it out of the cistern or something.
Yeah.
You still got any wells in Willard, do you allow that? I'm curious, but nonetheless, but yeah, at the end of the, is who votes on it. You're correct.
And we're throwing a lot at you guys, so thank you for letting us do that.
Now, here again, it might be, Jeff mentioned this, whole system improvements, like wells, supply, in the case of the sewer, treatment facilities, those would not be considered the area of the city they're in, because they're supporting the whole, how do you divvy it out? You can't. Now, if in fact, if this was even a possibility, and again, you'll have to check with some people who know more about it, if you had a concern on either the water, the sewer or water, where we've got these really lousy things and we can confine the project into these areas, it might be, since you would be, those are distribution or collection issues, perhaps it might be in your benefit if that income in that area where you did a special survey, I'm not sure whether that would fly or not. It has in the past, but again, they changed their rules. And quite frankly, there are a lot of new people, particularly in DNR, SRF, that we are seeing not a lot of continuity from one year to the next, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm not bad-mouthing any government employee, but we have a lot of people, and to a certain degree that was true with USDA, although I think that has stabilized a bit now. You're going to see the same thing operationally with your DNR inspectors. You're going to get brand new inspectors coming in, inspecting your physical systems, and there is no telling what they may start putting on you. We have seen the same thing. You know, anytime you do a renewal or extension on a water system, you all have to apply. CU didn't because they had a self-supervised program. And those still on the water side have to go to Jeff City. Now sewer's different, they handle at a lower level. But we see a turnover of people where sometimes they come back with the most ridiculous criticisms of the plans, that for years it was fine, but now we've got a new reviewer and they don't think that's good enough. I'm getting down into the weeds a bit. My point is, a lot of this depends on the experience of the personnel in the agency you're dealing with. And there's not a lot you can do about that.
So for efficiency, if you guys are really needing to do sewer improvements, it might be worth considering doing a engineering report. They call it a facilities report if it's for sewer, getting that going. Because I believe if you get that going and the report is underway and then the census data changes, if you continue with the agency, I believe it keeps what it was based on when the project initially started. So let's say we have an engineering agreement approved by DNR for this report that we're able to get you guys funding for, let's say. To do the next phase of that, we would do an amendment to that agreement, so therefore it's not a new thing, so then that data that was initially part of that, I believe would be considered to continue forward even with the 5-year change once that gets adopted.
That's the report that city's cost is 12.5.
If you were approved at 80/20, it would be 12.5, yeah. So, which is a reasonable amount considering how much
And there
those
is
reports cost.
nothing to say that you could not pursue parallel reports at the same time if you wanted to.
You can't have two grants going at the same time.
even if they're different ones, sewer and
Yeah,
water?
they won't do two programs at the same time, so it's figuring out the priority, and then,
Yeah.
that was a giant brain comment.
DNR split into drinking
Well, we
water.
just have to decide, we want more poop flowing, or do we want water flowing?
There you go, there you
You
go.
actually apply for the project, you apply to either clean water or drinking
Yeah.
water.
But, so
That'll
it's
sound
figure
right.
out the priority, and then,
Well, I think we all agree it's sewer and.
Yeah, and
that's
yeah,
something we
the
could-
sewer's gonna open up the growth,
Yeah.
But the
Absolutely.
water just needs to be brought up to.
You
So
gotta
I
keep
think-
up with the water, but sugar's gotta move ahead.
I think SimCog's gonna be your best bet on doing
Okay.
bite-sized pieces, but you're still gonna have some type of engineering
I have to be there
report.
Friday, so I'm gonna bug along.
Okay, and so for that, for what would be needed for CDBG, the engineering report, that would be a little bit different. Water's not as expensive as far as a report, they tend to be about 30,000. I know that's a lot because it would have to be self-funded, but in order for CDBG, they do have to have an engineering report. Everything has to have an engineering report. They need somebody to say, we've looked at the system, we've identified the issues, we've looked at growth, we've looked at potential recommendations, cost, funding, that type of thing. So they have to have that, but it can be phased out that, you know, you would put the phases in order of priority, and then, you know, you just go down the road. And then that report, if you were to do that, let's say you self-fund a water report while you were doing a DNR report for the more expensive sewer, then you put it on the shelf, you guys decide, you get some money, or you guys are doing, you know, an improvement, and you have to get a construction permit, you just turn that report in, because if it's identified in that, the only thing that might be needed if it sits too long is the cost may need to be updated. But the report stays in effect, so it's your tool for your construction permit. It, you know, it gives you your plan of what you guys feel as your priorities and what's needed. It's bringing in the data from these gentlemen and making sure that it all counts. And the stronger you can make your reports, the more likely you are to, they're gonna approve loans. They're gonna approve loans. The CDBG, I think, is your only grant, and then I do think for the wastewater, it would be worth pursuing a 80-20 split on the sewer report.
Okay,
So,
that's a good place to
Thank you.
start.
you're welcome.
It's a good
Thank
place
you
to
for your
start.
time.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for you guys knowing him and still letting us come to visit you. That's great.
Another thing I would say is while if we were selected to do a PDR for you, we would hope that if you progress to a project, we would also become the project engineer. However, that is not a requirement.
Okay.
Sometimes, for whatever reason, when they go to actually starting the actual project design, the community will change, and there's nothing that says you can't. Or it might be that we might say, those people are crazy over there in the river. We don't point it, you're not binding yourself irrevocably.
Could you do that first?
The other thing is, I don't know whether you have a quote, city engineer by a consulting agreement or on staff or not. We're not here tonight to lobby for that.
Yeah.
But it is up to the city, if they already have a city engineer, they can still hire a project engineer for this specific project. And it can be whoever,
Yeah.
well, of course, you've gotta go through
A selection, yeah,
you know the
As a matter of fact,
process.
we just discussed that last month because I asked about.
Yeah,
I'm still
you're
learning.
eventually,
Yeah.
no matter who you select, you're gonna have to go through
Right,
request for qualifications and all that.
So that's why I'm standing back up. So you can do the request for qualifications, you have to do it before you put in the application.
Oh, yeah.
Or before you can put in the application for the sewer report, but before it could be, go to the next step. You'd have to go through the RFQ process,
Yeah.
And it's selection based, as you guys know. But you could, in that RFQ, you could include the very specific water report if you wanted to. You could include specific pursuing a DNR engineering or facilities report, city engineering. You can if you very specifically call out what that is being, the services you're trying, and then it would be good so if you did it for the sewer report and you continued through DNR through a loan, then you didn't have to go through the procurement again. It just continues on unless you wanted to make a change with the engineering firm. But SIMCOG could help with that RFQ development, so.
And
Appreciate it.
Albert Martin is a good engineering firm. You didn't go wrong hiring them to be your engineers on that. We think we're better.
Yeah.
They're good. Albert Martin's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I'm glad you got somebody reputable to do it. Because some of these firms out here might not quite. And that's all I got to say.
And that's all that's about that.
Thank you for your guys'
Well,
time.
Hey, thank you guys for coming out here tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're welcome.
We're gonna make you guys get out and have to do some mapping for us.
We can do it.
Provide data.
We can do that.
Use
We
you.
got plenty.
You're welcome to stay and hear about a lift station too, that's coming up on the,
Do you really want your meeting to go till midnight? Thank you.
All right,
Thank you guys, we appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, I guess we'll go on to item 8, discuss 4 items that come up in the past. Trevor, you taking the lead on this?
At least a couple of them.
Okay, all right. Water loss report.
Yeah, so that's the main one that I've got here. I was gonna mention it at the last meeting, and then I know we kinda got behind on some other stuff, so. But yeah, I just wanted to go over that. I've kinda researched a little bit on, maybe some different options that we could look at doing. So just for a little bit of background, the Willard as a whole, Willard and Meadows, we produce about 300 million gallons of water annually.
Okay.
Current non-revenue water is between 25 to 35%. So that represents about 90 million gallons a year at a 30% loss. So if we put that into a calculation here, we got the rate of $5.24 for 1,000 gallons. It's about $471,000 a year in lost revenue. Now that doesn't mean that cost us $471,000. That's just what we could have made on that.
If I can make one more statement, all official communications from this point on should actually go through Jeff and Robin, not me.
Okay. All right.
I mean, seriously,
Sure, yeah.
they would handle all the engineering agreements and all that. Administratively, you need to communicate with them whatever you want to do.
Okay. Thanks again,
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
See you, buddy.
So, I don't think that we truly are at 25 to 35% every month just because it fluctuates so much. I think part of it can be due to billing practices, and I've kind of talked with Gina and Emily about that. And then I think another part of it could be timing, on when we get our reports versus when we're reading the meters. And I've shored that up a little bit, just because of the way it used to be. Now we've changed it to a new way where we're trying to line those up when we're getting our report versus when we're reading the meters, So simple things like that, I think, is gonna make it a little bit closer, to at least give us a baseline to see, hopefully that thing stays. Is it 25, is it 35, is it 27, try to get it at a solid number versus, being so far apart. So just a few numbers here to kind of put that into perspective. Even if we just knock down 5% of that, that's $78,000 a year.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's quite a bit, and that's not, like I said, again, that's just revenue, potential
Right,
revenue.
right,
So,
yeah.
what's that water cost us? You know, that's hard to put a number on with maintenance, electricity, you know, all that kind of stuff, chlorine. What I think we should kind of look at, trying to get that baseline, we've got 2 well meters that are at least above 15 years old. Now, meters don't ever speed up, they always slow down. So at 15 years old, they're probably pretty slow, and that's really going backwards from where we wanna go, but I think to, like I said, get that baseline, you know, we should probably look at replacing those to at least, you know, okay, are we actually closer to 40%, or are we more like 30%, you know? And you know, those come with costs, like everything else, you know, they're pretty proud of those, but, the other side of this is 30% of customers' water meters are older than 10 years old. And so they're giving away 3 to 8% every month, in that age range. So, and then another pretty big example here is the high school meter is greater than 20 years old, and that's a 4-inch. So, and it's not a high flow meter or a high low flow meter, a compound meter. So it's not picking up all that low flow that's going through it.
Yeah.
So,
What's the cost to replace that?
so I've got $4,500 here to replace that meter.
To the high school?
Yeah. So I think that would be a huge
I
one.
think that would be a good
So
target.
I think that'd be a good one to
Yeah.
start on.
That might pay for itself in a year.
I really think it would.
Yeah, I
mean,
think
'cause-
that'd be a good turn on that.
Yeah, if we're gonna do it, I've actually already talked to Shane and the water guys, put it in a concrete box where, you know, and raise it up, cause right now it's like probably 7 or 8 feet deep, and there's no need for it to be that deep. So we've talked about raising it up, putting it in a concrete box where next time when we go to replace this thing,
Yeah.
2 guys can go down there, you know, we won't even have to dig, you know, so. I've already talked to them about that, just kinda wanna run that by you guys and Wes and just.
That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, I think it needs to be
Yeah.
done, you
You're
know.
looking like when school's out, getting it done this summer?
Yeah, we were talking about trying to do that this summer. So that's another one. So just rough numbers, what I've kind of put on here, I think customer meter under registration is probably around 12 to 15%. These are just rough numbers, so don't hold me to them, you know, but, just guessing here. Real system losses, you know, breaks, background leakage, stuff like that, I'm thinking that 8 to 12%. And then billing and timing differences, maybe 2 to 5%, something kind of in that line. Just for example, we're doing a water project yesterday, where we're trying to tear some old valves out and reroute some lines that should have never even been this way. And, so I was actually digging, Shane was digging, and then I was in the sump, you know, digging out on the water line, and we found a leak that wasn't even showing, you know, the ground was totally dry, we got a little bit closer, and then a leak popped up, you know, so, and it's a glued joint on 4-inch, and there's probably 1,000 more of those out there that just aren't surfacing, you know, so they're seepers, but, you know.
They're finding a new path.
Yeah, they just go wherever, you know, so on a Badger meter, we use positive displacement meters, for all of our 3/4, 5/8 by 3/4 meters. We get to 2-inch, then we do the ultrasonic meters, but on a Badger meter, 0 to 5 years, you get 0 to 1% loss, is what you're accounted for. 5 to 10 years, you get a 1 to 3% loss. 10 to 15, you're in the 3 to 8%, and then 15 and up, you get 5 to 15%. So after year 5, meters typically degrade approximately 0.5% per year, with accelerated degradation after year 10. So, you know, 10 years, it needs to come out, you know, you're just giving away water. So residential's, the recommendation is replace at 10 to 12 years or 1 to 1.5 million gallons. Commercial meters, 1 to 2-inch, replace every 8 to 10 years or 2 to 3 million gallons. And then the large meters, you're 3 and up, accuracy test them every 2 to 4 years and then replace based on the test results. 20 years, I mean, it's, you know, and you're not picking up low flow, you know, you get to that point, then it needs to be replaced.
Is the 4-inch at the high school the biggest in the system?
Yeah, that's.
Is there any other 4-inch or not?
We've got, no, the 4-inch, they've got a 3-inch out there, Wheeler Central.
Okay.
And then we've got a ton of 2-inch.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely the biggest one.
Okay.
Let me read over here. So realistic, and financially defensible goal is reducing our non-revenue water from 30% to 18 to 20 over a 2 to 3 year period. We'd be super happy with that.
Oh, yeah. A lot of money.
So projected annual recovered revenue range is 150 to 235,000 on that. So for my final recommendations, I think change both the old meter wells, the well meter, to get an accurate baseline. I've got that at 16,000 to replace both of those. That's an 8-inch and a 6-inch. Adjust our billing practices, which we've already been working on that. That's an internal thing, doesn't cost us anything. And then to begin annual leak surveys of the entire system. So I went out and got some numbers from Westrom, which is who we used previously, maybe 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, something like that. The numbers I've got now is 17 to 20,000 for an annual leak survey. That we would have to bring 2 guys with him. And actually I talked to Ray, who we just hired on here a little bit ago. And Ray tells me that there's another company that you don't have to send a couple people with them. Now, I don't know if that costs more or not, but it might be something to look at. But I've talked with Wes that, hey, I think if we really want to tackle water loss, we really need to be doing an annual leak survey of the entire system.
Have you guys ever done it yourselves? I mean, we do it at City Utilities, we've got 2 guys, that's all they do is they go chase leaks.
Yeah, and I would love to do that. It's just the whole manpower and the equipment is super expensive. So
They do.
yeah.
I mean, they were doing it with the telephone and
Yeah.
and the rod. What
Yeah.
was it saying, man, old Sam, he could find water leaks, he'd pull that little earphone thing out, stick that rod on there, yep, right there.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do that. I mean, if that's an option to explore, I think that'd be great. But then, I gotta get another truck too, because I'm already pressed for trucks.
Right.
I mean, it's, 1 truck goes down, we're already in a bad spot. 2, we're pretty well, SOL. So, the last deal I've got here, to begin changing out meters, beyond 10 years old or over 1 million gallons. That's pretty standard practice. That's how we make our money, is meters. If you're giving it away, well, you're not making anything. So that's kind of my little spiel on it. I've got here rough numbers, 96,000 for the first year, and then 80,000 every year after that. The 96 just covers the 2 well meters. So kind of rough numbers on there that, I might meet with Gina and Wes about, is adding that in there to start replacing our water meters and doing it.
And they talking about the wells, at all the wells, or?
No, that's just 2 out there. So the 2 here in town are actually a lot newer, because they had told us they were giving away a lot of water, or not reading, rather, since we don't bill on them. But because of the short distance on the line, they want, I'm gonna mess it up, you might know, Kim, double the pipe size passed on both sides of the meter. That's what it is.
It'll have so many pipe links upstream and downstream.
Yeah.
Because the turbulence and stuff can mess with the readings.
I think it's double, but,
Yeah,
so anyway,
I
so
think
there's a certain meter that you can buy, to put in there where you don't need that. So that's what we bought at these 2 wells. So the 2 in town are supposedly reading as near 100% as you can get.
I mean, they've got all kinds of high dollar meters that
Yeah.
you don't need that distance, but,
Yeah.
if you've got the distance, just get the meter you need.
Yeah. And so the two out there in the meadows, we definitely have the distance. These 2 up here, we didn't. So we bought those super high dollar meters for here. But out there, like I said, we've got the distance, we just need the new meters. And that's certainly not we have to do this right this second, kind of deal. But I just wanted to give you guys a few numbers to kind of, rack your brains on and think about.
No, those are great ideas.
Yeah.
Need to be done.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So that's all I got on that, unless anybody's got any questions on that one. Okay, cool. Well, I guess I could actually throw that, that's probably about a good time.
Good save.
Yeah, a little segment here to kind of show you guys, since we're talking about water loss, kind of what we deal with here. So these are just a couple different shut-off valves that we've got. Look at that one here, and then you can look at that one. So this here is the galvanized nipples that keep breaking. So this piece goes right on there like that. And so, yeah, we got 900 more of these.
These are risers coming up.
Yeah, so there's 900 more of these out in the system. And
They're snapping right off.
yeah, they're getting a lot worse. So, and then this is that eggshell pipe on this one that you've got. So we've got kind of two evils going on here. Yeah.
Did they thread that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild.
And then, this one here is just a piece of pipe that we cut out the other day. And it just kind of shows how that line kind of gets some of that crud growing on the inside. It's not too bad, I mean, comparatively for what a lot of towns have, but I just thought that'd be kind of cool to show,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
You lose that much capacity of
Yeah.
pipes when you
Yeah.
put that up.
Yeah, and it only gets worse from here, so that's why flushing is super, super important, you know.
Do you
You
think,
can keep that if you want. We thought about reusing it.
do you think you got any lines in the system that could benefit from digging? Or any of them that bad?
Not that I've seen.
Nothing you've tapped and it's like, oh gosh, we got a bunch of bills down there.
Yeah, I mean, that one's probably about the worst I've seen on metal. Which, like I said, it's really not horrible.
Right.
But in years past, we've just had people that didn't like flushing and, you know, wanted us to kind of get away from that. So, just kind of wanted to show that it is very important, you know,
Yeah.
that we do that. So,
It's hugely important.
yeah. So that's kind of what I got on that one.
I can make this next one really quick.
You gonna start writing refund checks?
Yeah, I think we probably need to. So last time, I think Angie, maybe January you last met us, somewhere in there.
I don't know.
You know, somewhere in there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I kind of misspoke because at the time I had in my mind, well, you know, I remember getting a deposit back, but Emily reminded me, well, you moved, so you gave it to me. I mean, I gave it back and you gave it back to me.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So did some digging and the ordinance is clear that it's basically kept indefinitely.
Yeah.
So what I've given you guys, I didn't figure it needed much of discussion, I just drafted a sample ordinance basically repealing that
Okay.
and replacing it with a 12-month plan like most everybody else I think does.
Do you waive a deposit if someone is new to the area and they have a letter of credit from a previous utility?
No, we don't do any of that, right, as it stands right now.
See that, I just did some electric down in Stone County. I got a place where I got Ozark and I had to put a service in there
Yeah.
and they did do that. You know.
And I don't see, I mean, that could be a recommendation. If you
Yeah,
make
Most
that,
places
just
do
add it.
that.
They'll look at your
I just
credit.
focus strictly on the business end, and then after 12 months of good payment history, we just put it on the bill and we move on. From my perspective, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to keep up with all these $100 all over the place. That's a lot of responsibility, so
Did
let's just clear it
we
out.
discuss last time how much is banked as depository?
I don't think so, but I can get that from Gina. I know we have an escrow fund that just sits there basically, and then we pull and move. The only concern from finance was why every now and then we have somebody who leaves us with a $100 bill. Well, you know, 1 out of 3 ain't bad, right?
So you guys, are you giving them, Wes, are you cutting back a check or are you just crediting them?
Credit the account.
And they can build it off their bill?
Yep, and just go straight back on the account.
That's probably a great way.
Nice and easy peasy for everybody.
Yeah, that's very easy.
Mm.
Yeah. I agree.
So that's, and then, so you're thinking maybe add a credit letter sort of thing?
It would just, I mean, this standard practice in utility companies that if if a new customer comes in and they have a letter of credit from their previous utility company showing good payment history, and you can't get those, I mean, you have to actually have good payment.
Oh, yeah,
history.
yeah.
CU has.
No, I'm happy to add that, as I say,
Right.
it's just a draft,
And,
I'm
you
not
know, you
invested
get
in
good
it.
customers, then you don't have to fool with the utility deposit.
Yeah.
It helps people out.
Yeah, I'll get that added, and then my plan is to present it to the board, hopefully at the next meeting, get it done.
Good. I think that's a great idea.
I told you to make that one nice and quick.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, I just want, I didn't have any other questions, I don't think. I just wanted to mention, I did look it up and it changed in 2016. So I don't think any of the current board members are, yeah. I don't
No,
think
they're all fresh on it.
Yeah, that's when they changed it and, I would just express my support for reinstating,
Yeah.
refunding the deposits.
It's not a practice I'm familiar with holding it indefinitely,
No.
I've never done it before, but, you know,
Yeah,
we'll check it, yeah.
yeah. Do you
I did-
need us to vote to support it or you?
You can, it would certainly be beneficial, and then I can tell them that your
I make a
official
motion that we
recommendation.
Recommend that.
affirm the ordinance and.
With the
express our-
change,
With the
Um,
change
want me to
of
make-
the,
That's optional to me, that's a board decision.
I'll give them to you.
I
I'll
don't
give
even
you
know if that's a board decision, that's probably just a utility operations, I don't.
Well, yeah, we wouldn't be allowed to just do it on a whim,
Yeah.
so I'll give them two options.
I'm fine with it as written or with that change,
Or with
so
change.
I would make a motion that we express that to the board.
okay, so I have a motion
I will
to,
second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay. All right. Future utility infrastructure, general discussion.
That one may be a long discussion.
Do you want to defer till next month?
Let's defer to next month, because what I want to kind of get you on, we talked last time about trying to figure out project versus rate impact to feed into a larger
Right.
community discussion of,
Yes.
okay, guys, do you want us to do this, or you just go, well, you know, is it really necessary? Let's maybe hold off on that. So I really want you guys to think about that one.
Okay.
And first, maybe that needs to be the only discussion. It's just, how do we go about it? What looks right? What is likely to give the community the best input? Do we do town hall? Do we do surveys? Do we do everything? So I really kind of want you guys fully involved on that one.
Okay, I'm good with that. I think we need to spend time on it.
Oh, I don't disagree with that at all.
I think the odor is probably, before it becomes a Facebook nightmare, we probably ought to address that.
I think where we're at, and knock on wood, unless anything explodes or Trevor comes running in my office with a scared look on his face, I think we're on a good trajectory for the system. So, I mean, I don't think we need to do anything major, but obviously everything's coming up that the engineers have recommended that we should probably be thinking about.
Okay.
So I think that's part of a wider discussion. I think since the public owns the system, they should have an opportunity to say what we do.
Okay.
And then I'll let you do the $5.
I'm gonna let these two do most of that, yeah, that's gonna be these two.
Go, JR, you've got a great delivery, come on,
Hey, I
man.
drove by tonight, and I rolled my windows down, I ain't scrolling anything.
Yeah, so it's really an intermittent problem with 94 lift station. We've got, I forget what they're called, but they're basically large scrubbers. One of them was powered and still is powered, and what it does, it just sucks air out of the lift station itself, sends it through a media, hopefully scrubbing the smell out of it, and then expels that into the atmosphere around it. The other one started off as an unpowered, just a passive unit. Thankfully, Trevor was cool with us going and buying a rather expensive, it was like $1,500, $1,600.
25.
25. Forget it, 25, I misspoke. But it was super expensive and it went up, and unfortunately it went down not too long ago. We've been waiting on the part to come in, not the blower part, the motor part. I think he spent a couple $100.
So it was $2,500 to buy the whole fan and motor setup, or it was like $300 and some dollars to just buy the motor. And we've been waiting on the motor, and it finally came in, so that's what we've kind of been waiting on.
But really, it seems as though for the odor at 94, it seems it happens first thing in the morning. Now, we have Mr. Fox over here, Shane, he's hanging out, he lives actually down by 94.
He's right here. I do, I'm not dismissing the smell, but I live right there, and I don't ever smell it. I mean, that's just, I smell it when I go on my way to work for maybe 10 seconds. I smell more asphalt than I do that thing, so. I live in Ken Scott's Rambler.
Yeah, you're right there in front of all of it.
So, I mean,
But we also have another employee of the city that lives over there in the Megan Lane Apartments, Miss Donna, and she never smells anything either. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, it is a lift station. That is the nature of the beast. There's only so much we can do to control the smell. Part of what we do, other than relying solely on these scrubbers, is weekly. I've ordered maintenance to be performed. The lift station itself has a horrible time of building a grease mat in there, just because, well, grease, and it floats up. The intake's at the bottom of the pump. But every week on Thursday, I have my guys go out there. They shut down 94 lift station, allow the water level to come up, and then move this grease mat to the back of it, of the intake. It's a huge pit, and there's a wall in the middle of it. And then they turn the pumps on. So what that does for us is it raises the water level. I can move the mat to the back, and then when we hold it there and turn the pumps on, it sucks that water level down amazingly fast. And then the rest of the pumps will kick on, and it will break that mat up and give those motors, those pumps, a better chance of actually removing that waste from there. We've encountered some great success doing it. Used to, I'd have to call out Battlefield Septic, and we'd have to end up doing it quarterly to get the, at some points in time, 1.5 feet, maybe 2 foot thick of grease mat, as well as some other modifications that needed to be unmodified as being necessary. But as it sits right now, I mean, I do have a couple of other options that I can do to try to address the smell at 94. They're deodorizing blocks, but we've used them before, limited success, and it's another consumable, and they're not cheap. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to tell you a price. I can get one for you.
Is the complaints coming when it drifts across the highway to the apartments and all that back over in there?
Unfortunately, I don't know. I've never actually seen a complaint or, gone and spoke to a resident about it. And yes, these guys, man, I'll go and I'll talk to any resident out there.
I haven't got any direct complaints about it. When I smell it, when it seems to me like I smell it whenever it's about 35 or 45 degrees, somewhere right in there, driving into work, and I smell it just for a couple seconds. And I really,
Well, the humidity probably has something to do with it too.
I think it does.
Relative humidity outside.
And I've only started smelling it since that motor went down too.
Yeah.
So here,
When did the motor go down?
it's been several months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. But we, so yeah, like I said, I smell it, just driving into work real quick. Those scrubbers, I think they were about somewhere right around 30,000 a piece for the scrubbers. We got 2 of them. Here, 2 years ago, we changed all the material in them. They wanted 18,000 a piece for a company to come out and change this material in them. So we went ahead and we did it ourselves, and it was
a lot cheaper.
I want to say it was 4,000 maybe, is what we were able to do it for
We got
ourselves.
the gypsum from US Gypsum in Pennsylvania, and then I think JR ordered the coal.
Yeah, I don't remember who got the charcoal, but.
Activated charcoal.
But, so we went ahead and we replaced them ourselves. So the material in there is still good for at least another 2 years. But like JR said, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a lift station. The entire reason for it to even exist is to haul waste. So, there's only so much we can do, and I just don't think it's worth throwing tens of thousands of dollars. We did try, a bacteria, that was about 13,000 a year is what we were spending on it, and it ended up being kind of snake oil. I mean, it was like.
Do you think it's thermal and vision?
That, I wanna say probably, but,
Cause that one, you're never gonna fix that.
Yeah, but like I said, I never smelled it whenever that other fan was working, so I just don't know, you know, I mean, it's hard, but I mean, drive down James River any time of day, you'll smell.
Go past Southwest Treatment Plant.
Yeah, you'll
Holy
smell
crap,
that,
and it will run with you all the way,
yeah.
almost to, the Kansas Expressway or further.
Yeah, I mean, so it's, and I realize Springfield, that's a lot bigger.
There's a big
deal,
amount
but,
of food coming in there.
you know, if it's a problem that Springfield hasn't solved, then it's probably not gonna be one that we're going to be able to solve 100%. I think we can lessen it whenever we get that, you know, actually, I mean, we got the fan together, I think 2 days ago, we just haven't installed it yet. But I think, and when we meet next time, I think you'll probably notice a difference in it, so.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Well, just in the interest of passing along concerns, since that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
The ones I've mostly heard from, with the smell issue is in Hoffman Hills, which is it's actually farther from.
Oh, that's funny, I don't smell it over there at all.
I don't
Yeah.
know that that could be, I don't
That's-
think there's any way it could go that
I
far.
can see it getting across the street to the community.
Yeah, that would have to
parties
be some
there.
travel.
I could, gosh, if it's going all the way up to Hoffman Hills, that's way over there.
Yeah,
Maybe, do I have the subdivision wrong? It's the one, like the Becky and the Megan and the.
Yeah, that's not.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That's the apartments,
I
yeah.
guess I don't know my subdivisions.
You got Falls Creek over
Like
there.
past the,
I think.
yeah, kind of
Jim
behind.
That's Fox Creek, part of that's Fox Creek.
Yeah, I could see it reaching then.
Okay, yeah, that,
Deer,
sorry, I
deer,
missed.
no, okay.
I need to find out where
Deer Lane,
Hoffman
I don't know.
It's a
Yeah,
new neighborhood that you can see from 160 as you are in.
kind of, yeah.
So, the lady JR was talking about, Donna, she's one of our public works clerks. She said she did used to smell it every once in a while in the evening, before we installed that second fan.
Oh.
She said every once in a while I would get she said, but since we did that, she's like, I haven't noticed anything on it. So I asked her the other day, I said, since that fan went down, have you noticed anything about it? She said, no, I haven't noticed it. She just said every once in a while in the morning, driving into work, you know, just like me, she notices it. But the other night, actually, when I had to come into Willard about 8, 9 o'clock at night, I rolled all the windows down in my wife's car, and I was like, I want to see if I can smell it, say on a cool night, and I didn't
Heat
smell
smells the
it.
only time I've ever smelled it, and it's not every time I drive by.
Yeah, I mean, that was.
Humidity
so-
has a bunch to do with
I
that,
think you're right.
I do, yeah.
and temperature.
So,
But you're not getting complaints about it?
knock on wood,
Well, I just want-
I haven't really got any, I mean, I haven't got,
Okay.
I used to several years ago, and it was just on Facebook, you know, I saw them on there, so, and that's kinda like one person says it, and then you get 50 more, that's like, oh yeah, actually, I noticed it too, you know, kinda deal, so.
Is that the only lift station we've ever heard about having any odor?
Yeah,
D has odor, but again, usually that's when it's
Yeah.
filling up over there.
Little bit.
It's not all the time.
Which one is D? Is that
D's on,
Hughes
Hughes over towards AD,
Yeah.
kinda down in the dip.
Down in that dip,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
maybe I'm just getting immune, cause I've never smelled it at D.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Or if you're like me, I got
But again,
COVID and I
it's-
lost smell of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's huge for the two houses on either side of it.
I do have a
It's not.
question about 94.
Yeah.
Unrelated to the smell. When
Yeah.
the new pipeline's done, will the operation of the station be changed?
Slightly, because there is gonna be a third pump in there, and then there'll be 2 pumps run at the same time in tandem. And they'll run at a lot less RPM. So it will be changed, I don't think that that's gonna change anything to do with the smell or anything
No,
like
I
that,
didn't,
but
I didn't
yeah.
think it would. I'm just curious because, you know, the pipeline issue, I know you changed it from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
But with a new pipeline, will you go back to the original designed
so
operation of the lift station?
yeah, it'll be real similar. It was, luckily, they did engineer that right when they put it in. They set it up for a third pump, so there's a set of
Yeah.
rails and pipe in there and everything for it. But really, that's the only thing that's gonna change. There were a couple other deals that we were going to add if we had the budget for, like a surge tank and a bigger generator and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But our budget just didn't allow for it, so we weren't able to do those, but, yeah, so that's really, operationally, that's all that's gonna change.
Okay.
I think some of those will kind of low hanging fruit that we could pick up in the future.
Yeah, well, yeah.
If things look good, so we
Yeah.
can always modify it. if we see the need.
Yeah,
But the engineers kind of stripped them out, like, well, I mean, they're nice to have, but, you know.
Yeah.
I think a generator would be the one thing that we were.
generator is one I was really hoping to try to snag, move that generator at one of the wells that really needs one, you know, but, yeah, just budget didn't allow for it, so we had to back off a little.
All right, well, appreciate the update.
Yeah.
Look forward to getting that fan put in, and maybe
Hopefully it'll be
people that are having it won't-
different next time,
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, do we have any unfinished business we need to talk about? Okay, well, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I make that motion.
Motion and a second.